All right, who's ready to write some blog posts? I see a few hands, all right. We've heard a lot about content today and what an important piece of the developer relations strategy it is. So hopefully I'll convince some others here. At the end, my goal is to have more hands go up when I ask that question again. So hopefully you can make me look good. But first, I'd like to tell a story that makes me look bad. I went to a conference in Sweden. This is the home of the Swedish Open. I had a long flight from my home in the States, and then a long train ride. I got in late, but still I woke up early and went and saw the room where I would give my talk and checked my connection and got the feel for it to see how it would be. And then I went to the lunch reception, took this beautiful picture, and then came back, and my computer, which had been connected, could not get connected to the projector. I unplugged it and replugged it and turned things off and turned them on. Nothing could happen, and people were starting to come in, and I had to start to give the talk. And so they had these pads of paper. So I started to give the talk and drawing my slides on the pad of paper. And 5 or 10 minutes, finally someone got my computer working, and I was able to give the talk as I had planned to. But I felt so bad after that. I took a picture of the adapter that hadn't worked because I felt like I would remember that forever, right? This awful memory. Well, I obviously remember it because I'm telling it to you, but I remember it now as a fun story and not something that scarred me. I'm going to guess there's probably that many of us in this room have a story like that, or if you don't, you will soon. A demo fail is sort of a rite of passage in developer relations. And just like that doesn't last forever, I think many of us think of content as something that will last forever. So you have a demo fail and you move on and you give your next demo, and hopefully you do better. But with content, sometimes you can feel like you need to make it perfect before you can publish it. And so my suggestion to everyone here is that you can treat it much like a demo, which while you prepare for it, you then move on to the next one. The time comes where you have to give it, and you do your best. And I think we can treat content the same way. And of course, content kind of is forever. This is one of the first posts I ever wrote on Programmable Web 9 years ago. And when I look at it today, I think it's pretty bad. It's really short. It doesn't read very well. I think I might have my personal IP address in the article, right? But I wrote it, I published it, and I moved on to the next one and ended up writing hundreds of blog posts that I might not have written if I waited till this one was perfect. And I suggest you could do a similar approach, because the more you do it, the better you will get at it. And consistency is the important part. And so this is what we want to avoid. How many people have seen blogs where the last post was almost a year ago? Or even now, we're in April. And even if you see something that says 2017, that sort of starts to seem, 2017 seems like a long time ago now. So this is what we're trying to avoid. And this is the case regardless of whether I'm talking about blogs, but you can use these steps for any type of content. And continuously publishing you'll see success with your content if you continually publish. And so I have a 5-step plan for you that you can follow with any type of content, whether it's for your company or for yourself. And so these are the 5 steps. We're going to create a content calendar. We're going to get a bunch of ideas and put those into your content calendar. Then you will write the blog posts or the content. Then you will evangelize it. And finally, you're going to get some help because you can't do it by yourself forever. So, I invite you to join me on that journey here. Let's take those steps together and create great content. So it starts, as I said, with this content calendar. A lot of times I get asked, Adam, how many blog posts should I write per month? Or maybe someone is really excited and they say, how many blog posts should I write per week? You might think that the answer to that is it depends, right? It depends on what type of posts they are or what your company is like. But actually, the answer to both of those questions is the same. It's two. So if you're asking how many per month, I think 2 seems about right. If you're ready to write posts per day, okay, how about 2? And actually this, or per week, would be per week and per month, but it works with day and year, any time frame you put there. The answer I'm going to give you is 2. It seems about right. So now that we know how many we're going to do, let's put them somewhere. So there are a bunch of tools you can use. I'm going to show you a few of them, but it really doesn't matter what tool you use as long as there's a place for you to put it, to put a date. This is Trello, and Trello has a great calendar view. You can also move the content through stages, so you can go from idea all the way through publish and promotion in the Kanban view of Trello. You could just use a simple spreadsheet and have the dates and put stuff in there. I've used all of these that I'm showing you. Asana, if you want to have granular to-dos, maybe tasks for each post, and then again, calendar view, and you can see the actual date that you're going to be publishing it. And you could just use a plain text file. It all works as long as you have dates attached, and then 2 things that you need, which is you need to have your content calendar visible to yourself, and also, if you work in a company, to the organization, and the reason for that will become clear soon. And then you need to be specific with what these ideas are. It's not just Cristiano is going to write a blockchain post. It's very specific titles, all the way down to the actual headline. Don't do this. Don't have placeholder text in there. You want to know as clearly as you can what the headline that you will use when you publish this post is, and have those ideas specifically in your content calendar and visible to yourself and to your organization. And if you're having trouble coming up with these, one of the ways that can help is if you have types of posts. So if you say, I'm going to do 1 interview post a month and 1 tutorial post a month, and you can start to have those, and with those templates, you'll be able to fill in ideas, which is the second step, is generating ideas, as many ideas as you can. And we've heard a lot today about developer marketing. And I admit developer marketing is in my job title, and yet I say that there is no developer marketing. It doesn't exist. What does exist is sharing knowledge with your community, solving their problems. And you can build your ideas off of use cases and problem solving. Understand what it is the people are trying to achieve and build your content to help them achieve that. And you can take those handful of use cases or problems and go and find frameworks, find open source, like in the previous talk, and combine those use cases with those technologies. You can find partners, either companies that your company already works with, other evangelists at events like this. If anyone works with technology that calls APIs or otherwise makes HTTP calls, you can talk to me. I'd be happy to partner with you on content. That's a big part of what we do at Zapier. Other places to get ideas. So if you have an internal chat within your company, like Slack, listen in on the conversations. Even if it's not your small team, listen in to what engineering is talking about or product and get ideas for blog posts there. Similarly, you can listen in on conversations that your community is having. So go to external chat rooms or Slack groups. See what people are talking about. See if there's a problem or a use case that you can help solve with your technology. Support tickets are also a great place to look for that. I mean, every support ticket should have at least one problem with it, right? So if you can write about something that helps solve, then there's your idea for content. So you want to take all these ideas, and you should have quite a few now, and put them into the content calendar. Have a spot to be able to have things that are just ideas, and then start to put dates on those, because remember, that's an important part of the calendar. Calendar has dates on it, so you want to start to put dates to those and get them scheduled out. And then anyone want to guess what you do next? Okay, I'll tell you. You write. I thought about just making this one just this slide, but that seems unfair. I'll tell you a little bit more about the writing process too. So many people on the internet don't read. Maybe you've heard that. They skim through, and a lot of the things they look at are the big text, the headline at the top and the subheadings in between. And so for me, that's my first step in writing, is I write those. I already told you about the headline because that's the one that you want to be specific. But you can do the same thing with the subheadings. So you can outline your blog posts and treat those subheadings as their own headlines. And once you have that, you sort of have your task list for writing, because you just have to fill in the details in between those. And really, the most important part is already done because you've outlined it. So you just want to set aside some time, and don't feel like it needs to be a lot. Remember, you want to be able to do this consistently. So don't expect a whole day a week to be spent on this. Get yourself a half an hour a day, something like that, to where you can consistently work on this and follow your calendar and make sure you're working on the next thing that is to be published. Anyone familiar with the Pomodoro technique, time boxing? You can set yourself a timer and say, I'm doing one particular thing, maybe only one section of a blog post during this 25 minutes, and focus on that and get it done. Those are the things that have worked for me for writing. And this one might be a little controversial. Don't edit. Maybe look at it and make sure you don't have any glaring errors, but you want to shorten the time between writing and publishing so that, again, you can keep to your schedule. You can continue to create this content. And the next thing you do, step 4, is evangelize, which is, I know we had one talk who already, Jess in the morning talked about Phil Legater's Devrelo meter. So you can go there and you can figure out whether evangelism or advocacy is the right word for the writing that you do. But when I say evangelize, what I really mean is to promote what you are writing. Promote it externally and promote it internally. So externally, maybe these communities work for you, maybe they don't. You'll know where your community lives, whether they're at Hacker News, Reddit, Slashdot, or somewhere else, right? And go to where that community is and share it with them. Tell all of your friends. If I think that Brian would be interested in a post I wrote, I'm going to send it to him. And I'm going to ask him to send it to someone who would be interested. Remember, you got your ideas internally. Make sure you evangelize internally too. Go to your internal chat, like Slack, or if there's an intranet, or put your latest blog post in your email footer, however your company or organization communicates. Make sure you have a way to tell people about all of the great things that you're doing. So the first three of these were really things that you all can do. You only need one person to be able to do it. You can do that yourself. And the person, I think, is you, because you're the one that's at this conference. So you're the one that cares about this, and you've learned that content is an important piece of the overall developer relations approach. So you can do these first three steps, but the bottom two, evangelizing and seeking help, that's where other people come in. And so the evangelizing part can really be summed up by just tell everyone about it, which I'm a little conflicted here. I understand that sounds a lot like marketing, right? But remember that the ideas all came from wanting to share knowledge to help people solve problems. So if you have a way that you can solve someone's problem, why wouldn't you tell them about it? So after you have done this for a bit, you have some good momentum going. You're ready for this final step. And this is an important one because you can't do this alone forever. So you want to find help here. You don't want to burn out. You want to avoid burnout of feeling like you're always doing these 2 posts per day, week, or month. So the first place to look is within your company, other people. And I get asked this question a lot too. Adam, how do you make people write? And the answer is I don't. I don't say, you will write right now. Instead, you want to show them the value of contributing. This is a chart of the OpenStreetMap community and the number of people who have contributed to, it's a map of the whole world built by individuals. And so this shows how that's been growing since its inception. And to me, that shows the power of this community. And they can show this to their community to show the value of continuing to contribute. And so find that for you, whether that is views of your blog posts or people talking about the things that you've written. Find those. And then when you want to get your first couple of people within your company to write, this is a little trick, and that is to write it for them. So talk to them, have a chat and ask some questions and get their thoughts on it. And then you go back and you write it. And now here's the most important part. When you write it, you then put their name on it. And remember, you're telling everyone in your company about the things that you write. So now everyone in the company knows that there's you and there's one other person who's writing. And then when you do it a second time, there are 3 people. And then the momentum will pick up. And you'll be able to have people contribute without you having to write the post. You can also look outside of your company. So certainly finding partners, as I mentioned before. I also mentioned I'd be happy to work with you, so you can email me. And I'd be happy to work on some content together. You can hire people. Hire from your community first. I know there were a couple of talks that talked about that. Hire others as well. Find other ways to pay them. If you don't want to pay them money, pay them in usage or anything. But find others to help contribute and fill out your calendar. And then there'll be pieces of this process that are really laborious for you. And I'm not expecting that this would be your entire job, right? This is a piece of your job. We know there are other elements of developer relations. So find those things that are the most time-consuming and find people or machines to do it for you. So hire editors to proofread or producers to post these posts, or use automation to do pieces of the process. And really, your goal eventually could be to replace yourself with a bot, which is what happened to me when I left SendGrid. Brandon West realized that a lot of what I did to help scale the developer relations team with content could be done by a bot, and this made me happy to see, and I actually kind of wished I thought of it, to see that they were able to use that to remind them who was up next in the calendar. That said, you should not over-engineer your process, especially too early, and we developers often do that, right? Because remember, the goal is to avoid this. We don't want to have a blog or other place of content that is not being updated. Our goal is to continually add content. So I invite you to follow those steps here to create that content calendar, generate your list of ideas, put those in there with dates, write, evangelize, so promote it to others, and then once you have it moving, to seek help. So, who's ready to write some blog posts? All right, that's good. I'm satisfied with that. Thank you very much.